Good afternoon and welcome to our third annual March Bluebeam basketball event at Printostat. My name is Thomas. I have been with Printostat for 8 years now. I've been supporting Bluebeam for most of that time. I've been teaching it for about half that, almost 4 years. And for 3 years running now, I've put together our basketball-themed Bluebeam lesson. 2 years ago, first event, I put together this basketball court using the sketch to scale feature in Bluebeam, which if you're not aware of is underneath tools, sketch to scale, and that'll let you do things like put in objects based on typing in dimensions rather than clicking on the screen. So I could make a 9x12 rectangle here. But that is the set of tools I use to construct this basketball court, specifically to NCAA standards to scale on my page. This year, I'd like to reuse this asset I made, but we're going to do something different on top of it. Coming over to my PDF for the subjects we're going to cover, the task I have assigned myself is to create a PDF and a tool set. Tool sets being our list of tools over on the left side in the tool chest. Each line of these is a tool set that's going to track the shots that were taken in a game, managing the following criteria: the team a shot was taken by, the player the shot was taken by, whether it's a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, and whether it was made or missed. I would not call this a practical demonstration. Making a basketball score tracker in Bluebeam is not the most directly useful skill, but in the course of creating this, we are going to talk about custom tools in our tool chest, in our tool sets, snapshots as a tool, making tool sets, giving our markups subjects, assigning them layers, creating count markups, managing them by spaces, setting up custom columns, specifically the choice column in our markups list, using the filters in our markups list, putting data onto legends, and then at the very end, using the quantity link tool to export all our data to Excel, where we can do more things with it. So to start with, while I am going to end up back on my basketball court, I actually am going to walk through making the tools themselves right here on my big blank white subjects covered page. So if you look over at my tool chest in my tool sets, you'll see I already have my tools made, but I'm going to recreate them here live for you so you can see how I went about doing that, because all of this was made in Bluebeam. Nothing was brought from the outside. So to start with, my basketballs here, I want to make a basketball with a colored border is my first goal. So I'm going to use the ellipse tool, which you can see over on the toolbar on the right, or you could hit E as the shortcut to start an ellipse. An ellipse becomes a perfect circle if you hold your shift key while you make it. So I'm going to make myself a circle for my basketball. I'm going to change my line from red to black for my border, and I'm going to make it a little thicker so it looks nice and cartoony. And then I'm going to change my fill to orange. Then for my border color, I'm going to make a slightly bigger circle around it, again holding the shift key for my perfectly roundness. I just want it to be a little bigger. I can move it afterwards. Again, giving it the black line work at an increased thickness. And I'm going to put the fill on this one to green. You'll see that's gone over top of my original basketball. That is a matter of order in Bluebeam. Order manages what markups stack on top of which other ones, what goes in front, what goes in back. And you can control that in the right-click menu by right-clicking order. And in this case, I want to send to back, so it's behind my orange. Then I want these to be one right on top of the other with the same centers. So to accomplish that, I'm going to select them both, right-click, and say first alignment center, which is going to get them aligned left and right on top of each other. Then I'm going to right-click again, alignment, and align middle, which is going to do the same thing up and down. And now I've got my two circles, one right on top of each other. For the crisscrossed lines on the basketball, I'm going to use the line tool. And I'm going to make sure under my view dropdown that I have snap to markup turned on. Snap to content and snap to markup will let you connect your new markups exactly on top of existing content, where the content is talking about the base PDF content, the things that are on the page when you open it up, and snap to markup being snapping to the things you made in Bluebeam using the tools. So in this case, snap to markup is the one that matters. I'm going to change my line again to black a little thicker, and I am going to go from the top to the bottom, and then again from the left to the right. You'll see when I'm over top of the line work, there's a little white box that formed, except on specific control points like an intersection or a quadrant of a circle, it turns into a blue and locks into exactly that control point. Then for my arced portions, I'm going to use the arc command. Again, pulling that right from the right side. In the arc, I'm going to click a point here to intersect and draw up to the left until it looks like something I'm happy with. When you make an arc like this, it is always going to be exactly a quarter of an ellipse, or if you hold shift, a quarter of a circle. But once you have created the shape, you get our yellow and blue squares or circles as control points that we can grab to resize and reshape this. And in the case of an arc, there are 2 points on either end of the arc that you can click and drag to change where the beginning and ending of the rotation lie. And now we've got our arc on one side of the basketball. And then to recreate this exactly and mirror it over, I'm going to copy my arc. Then I'm going to use paste in place, which you can get from the edit dropdown or using Control plus Shift plus V to make a second copy exactly on top. Then if I right click using alignment again, I can flip the horizontal of that selected markup. And then using the right arrow key on my keyboard, I can slide it directly to the right until it's put right in the place that I want it to be. And that'll give me my basketball emblem with green surround. There are a couple ways you can go about, and I'm going to move my text box off to the side so it doesn't get in the way. A couple ways you can go about making this one markup, because right now it is 6 markups, 2 lines, 2 arcs, and 2 circles. And I want to be able to put it down in one click like I have set up here. So to do that, 2 options. One would be to make a group. I could highlight all of these elements at once, right click and click group, and that's going to turn it into one object, which apparently reordered it and put my arcs behind, or no, I didn't have my arcs highlighted. Let's undo and redo that real quick. Highlight all of this, then group. There we go. One solid piece that contains all those elements that I can click over from my tool set and put into place. This variation of combining them is going to remember all of the pieces that make it up. So if I go down in my markups list and open up one of these groups, you'll see it's got each individual piece available, still part of it, and I could break them up if I want to. That's not actually what I want to do for this demonstration. I'd rather have just one visual thing that doesn't remember all these control points at all. It's a solid that's not going to be able to be taken apart again. So I'm going to edit undo a couple times and get back to the original. And to get to the end result that I'm looking for, I'm actually going to use a snapshot. The snapshot tool is most easily accessed, again, from this right side. Looks like a dashed square with a crosshair in the top left. And I can draw a box around what I want to copy. And it's going to put what is visually inside of that box on my clipboard. If I go and paste it in, it's going to appear on the screen. It looks exactly the same, but it's no longer the individual elements. It is one solid snapshot. Looking down at my markups list to verify that. And that's going to show up in my recents. In your recent tools, it'll show everything you used recently until you hit 12 tools used, and the ones at the end will drop off the back side. Or if you close and restart Bluebeam, your recents will clear that way as well. So if you want to save your markup that you've made, in this case, this snapshot with the green surround, you can either right-click the markup on the page and say Add to Tool Chest and tell it what tool set you want to add it to, or you can click and drag it from Recents to another tool set, and there it will stay. And if you want to really make sure it lives there forever, you hit the Settings gear next to the tool set, go down and hit Save, and it will save that tool to that tool set until you go about manually deleting it. And then to make the different colors, the blue surround or the gray inside, all I did was go back to this original and change my fill colors for the orange and the surround respectively, and then made a snapshot each time until I got 4 different variations. And that's going to be my 4 tools that I use to mark where shots were taken. So now looking at the 4 criteria, I want to be able to track with my little emblems here since I've made them visually. First, I want to know what team is taking which shot. I have chosen to keep track of that in 2 ways. One visually is going to be the color. I have named my teams the Blues with the blue surround and Beamers with the green surround. But the other place I'm going to track those is in the subject line of the markups. So we've got our new one we just made. If I hover over it, it just says snapshot because that's currently the subject of this markup. But if I click the markup in my markups, or in my tool set, my properties panel and my properties bar. Properties panel is always the gear, usually on the left side of your screen, but for this I have it on the right so we can see more stuff at once. At the very top of the panel here, we're subject to snapshot. I could change that to Beamers. Additionally, the drop down on the leftmost part of the properties bar has the same option to type in the subject. And then third, if you wanted to do it for an individual markup rather than a tool in your tool chest, you can double click in the subject field down below and you'd be able to type it in there as well for that specific markup. So I have now my 2 blues have the blues as the subject, as you can see by hovering over them, in addition to the one I just made in front of you. Then second thing I care about, actually going to jump to the end of my list here, is going to be made versus missed. Made versus missed, I have, again, broken into two colors. So blue is the Blues, green is Beamers, but orange-filled basketballs are going to be the made shots, and gray-filled basketballs are going to represent the missed shots. And I have made 4 sets of tools to represent those visually on the court. But then the second place we're going to track made versus missed is going to be in our layers, which you can see are set up on these already. Made, missed, made, missed. In order to get my new one to match, for this to be a made shot, all I have to do is right-click the tool in the tool chest, and where it says layer, I can click that and type in what layer I want that to exist on. Now, anytime I put this markup in here, it's going to show up on the layer I typed in, and layers can be seen in the layers panel. Looks like 2 diamonds on top of each other on the left side. And there is my made shots layer showing up there. Or down in my markups list, there is a layer column that has the same eyeball that I can click to toggle that whole layer on and off. So that's going to let me see by color what were made and missed, and also toggle off the makes and the misses individually. Then the third thing we're going to manage is the player, what player is taking the shots. And to do that, I am going to use a custom column. Custom columns is referring to the columns down in the markups list. If you click markups list and then columns, you can access a list of all of the columns Bluebeam has going on. But you can also make your own. If you go down to manage columns, then the manage columns dialog box, going over to the custom columns tab. Custom columns can be saved to your profile, but by default, they're going to be saved to a specific PDF. If you want to save them to your profile, you can use this button at the bottom. I don't have any set up here. I will when I go over to my basketball game PDF. But for this, for demonstration, I'm going to make one custom column in here. Make a new one with the plus button on the left, and we can add a column. There are 6 types of custom columns. Text is the first one to talk about. Would let people just type in whatever they want into that field. Number is the same, lets people type in an answer, except it's going to be restricted to a specific number format. And you can put mins and maxes on top. Then we have date, which you can specify a date format and allow people to type in dates for things like due dates or scheduled dates you can have included with your markups in your PDF. Next, we have the checkbox, which is just checked or unchecked, the simple yes or no. And then the 2 more complex out of these 6 options, we have choice and formula. Formula will let Bluebeam do math based on your measurements. So if I wanted a field that would calculate the length of something I'm measuring, but multiply it by a certain constant, I could do that and have Bluebeam do calculations for me. Or there's the choice column, and the choice column allows people to pick an option from a specified drop-down list of options. So for this, we hit plus to add a new one, and this is how I made my player manager, which I'll show you shortly. Demonstration, I'm going to use rock, paper, scissors. So if my first option is rock, I can put that in and hit OK. If my second option is paper, I can set that up. There are a couple other things going on in here. Next line down where it says subject is not applying a subject to markups, but rather limiting this choice two markups of that subject. So if I say only markups with the subject beamers can have scissors, when I go to use this choice column, only beamers can have scissors. And then the last one down here would be assign numeric value, which is what you would do if you wanted to give people a choice of what number to pull to do math over in those formula columns. You would add two columns, one for the choice, and then one for the formula to actually do the calculation. So I've made my rock, paper, scissors, named this the RPS column, hit OK, hit OK. There's my RPS. And now if I go to any markup in here and double click, I can pick from rock or paper, except things with the subject beamers. Now I can pick from rock, paper, or scissors. So if I go over to my basketball game, where I have set up my player column already, you'll see it already there ready for me, player. I can open up my custom columns to take a look at how it's set up in here. I have the first line is blank for item and subject, set as the default, so that when I put a markup down, it doesn't populate with a choice already made. And then 5 players for each team. I have given them names. The blues are all named after shapes in my markups in Bluebeam, and the beamers are all named after measurements. Then the subject is assigned so that when I have the blues markup, I can only pick from the 5 players assigned to the blues. And the same for beamers down below. We have the 5 options. The numbers aren't important. I just gave all of my players jersey numbers since it is supposed to be a basketball game. So I hit OK. And now if I go out here and I use from my tool chest the tool that I made and put it down, we'll see we've got my subject beamers, we've got my layer for made shots, and I can double click in player, or in my properties panel partway down in the custom field, hit the drop down here to pick what player I want to say took that shot. So I'll say number 32 poly length took that shot. It's going to remember that in my markups list. It's going to have it in the column there in my properties and showing on the page where it took place. So that is 3 of my 4 criteria managed: the team, the player, and made or missed. And then for the 4th bit, whether it's a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, I am going to use the space column in Bluebeam, which is going to be managed not by the markups in the tool set, but rather by the PDF space itself. So if I come back over to here to demonstrate making a new one, spaces are managed in the space panel, which looks like a little floor plan on the left side of the screen. To make a new space, you click the icon with the blue plus button, and that'll let you draw a shape on your PDF that you want to designate as your space, and you can name it what you want. I'll name this right half. And what that does is it allows your markups list to read in the space column what space, if any, a markup falls into. So right now, if I click, well, I'm going to put a new one down. Right now, if I put a new one of these down, it's going to show up with no space. If I click and drag this same markup over into the space, now it's populating, it's in space right half. So that's how spaces work. You draw them on the PDF so that Bluebeam knows what spaces the markups are going to fall within based on where the center of that markup is. So if I head back to basketball game and go to my spaces panel, at the top, The hatched filled in version of the icon is to highlight the spaces you're working with. And if I click that, you'll be able to see this dim blue highlight over top of everywhere around the 3-point lines. So I went around and I drew around the arcs along the side of the basketball court to define a space that I have called 3-point. And here you can see all of the individual vertices that went to make that. So now my markup that I have on the page here, currently showing in space empty, no space at all. If I drag it out past the 3-point line, now it shows up in the 3-point space. And that is how I have managed to record how many points each shot would be worth using my tool set and my basketball court PDF combined together. And with one last thing we have to do before we can start recording a game, in order for the quantity link at the end of this to go to Excel to work, I need these to be measurements, because right now I have snapshots. Down below, you'll see the shot count toolset has count measurements. You can tell their counts by the little 5# count symbol on the bottom right of them. In order to make them count measurements rather than just individual snapshots, I right-click the markup in here and hit Create Count, and that'll make an exact duplicate of that markup with the same subject. I'd have to tell it the layer again, but same subject, same visual, but now instead of clicking and putting a single snapshot down, the count would let me click around, and Bluebeam will actually count how many there are. In the case of this, it's separating out into 2 lines because some of them are in the 3-point space and some of them are not. But my subtotal is at the top of this breakdown here. And the same would be true if this was across multiple pages. If I had 7 markers, but 3 were on page 1 and 4 on page 2, down in my markups list, it would tell me that individual breakdown. But then if I have my count column visible, it will have the header subtotal to give me the combined count from that markup. So I converted these to counts. I changed my subject and layers again so that they would all be assigned correctly. And that is going to allow me to record the shots taken in a game. So now that I have created my tools, created my PDF that I need to get to the end result I want, I can start using my count measurements to kind of keep track of a game here. I could say, hey, first we had a made shot by the Blues. We're going to have the call-out player do that. And then I'm going to switch over to the Beamers. They're going to miss a shot from the 3-point here. That's going to be length. But I can give them a made shot off the rebound down below. And little by little, I could go through and create my visual record of the game with my little spreadsheet down below in the markups list. It would take a little bit of time to go through and mark out all of these, about as long as it takes to watch a game of basketball. So to save the time, I already have a completed file that looks like this instead, where I have scattered around all of my made and missed shots already. So looking at this, each one of these markups, they are a count measurement, but each is an individual markup that can have its own player that took it. It's going to recognize the space that it's in. So if I click, this one down here, or there, that one, highlighting where it is inside the 3-point line because it's not in the 3-point space. And that is a missed shot showing up gray. Rather than digging through all of these, there are a couple ways we can simplify it. One is, again, we could toggle our layers. So if I want to see only the shots that were made, I could click the eyeball next to missed shots, pull them out of the way, and now I have the record of only where shots had been made. If I wanted to filter by any other means, I can use the filter button in my markups list. So if I click filter list here, it's going to add a header to each column of my markups list, orange and gray. And I can click any of these to filter down to certain things. So if I wanted to see only the blues, I could filter to the blues, and it's going to put gray on every shot taken by beamers. I'm going to hit clear all to bring them back. Probably more interestingly, I could use this filter for a player. So if I wanted to see only the shots taken by rectangle, I can filter down, and now I've got just the shots that are taken by that player number 23 rectangle. So that's going to let me visually filter out and kind of inspect my way through this basketball game. And if I wanted to print these out this way, there are options for keeping the filtered markups dimmed while you print your PDF. And then the other things we can do is we can try and take this data out and see it numerically instead. Because right now the record I have is of the markups individually and where they are, but I definitely want to see combined totals from this. So one of the ways we could do this is with a legend. I'm going to put a legend on a new page. So first I'm going to hit escape so I'm not selected anything. Get my properties bar back to where it's the properties of the file itself. And I can click this button here to insert an extra blank page. Then on this blank page, I'm going to put down a legend. To create a legend, you could right-click a markup and tell it what legend to go on. But in the case of this, and usually the most efficient way to do this, creating a legend is you can click the gear on the tool set that made the markups on your page and click legend, and then tell it to either add it to an existing legend or create a new one. So I can hit create new, click on my page somewhere, and right now this is completely blank, and that is because the properties of legends by default are only going to show the summary of the markups on the same page. So to change that, I have to scroll down in my properties panel where it says source pages in the table section and tell it instead of page 2, I want a legend of all the pages here. And now we've got our legend showing us what the measurement is, in this case a count. So 30 count, 37, 29, 37. That's just showing me the number that match each of these tools by visual elements and subject. But we can make this more complex, more granular than that by changing what columns are visible in this legend. Actually, first, I would like to change the style of this slightly so we can get it actually looking like a table. I'm going to increase my line width from 0, is why you couldn't see the box around it. It had a line width of 0. Change my color to black, and then I'm going to change my table style to vertical. And now it looks a bit more like a table of information. Then I am going to use the Edit Columns button up in the column section of my properties. And I'm going to add additional columns to this. So let's say I wanted to see this broken down by 3-pointers versus not 3-pointers. I could add space as a designator here. And now I can see number of shots made by which team in which space. And then if I wanted to show, so I already have team and space and made or missed showing. If I want to have that made or missed layer designation visible here, I can add that column. It shouldn't break it down any further because the visuals are already broken down that way, but it'll add the column that we have the words, whether it's made or missed. And then if we want to see it all the way broken down by which player did what, I can turn on my player column. That one's easy to find because the custom columns are all the way at the bottom. And now we have my legend breaking down how many shots were made and how many shots were missed by each individual player in each different space, 3-point or not 3-point. All of the information Bluebeam is capable of pulling from just the columns that I made for this. And this, for many uses, legends really do get you to the endpoint you're looking for. It gets you totals broken down by whatever qualities you're trying to filter for. But limitations are going to be based on how complex we make these columns. And what I would really want is for this to be able to tell me who won the game, or perhaps what the shooting percentage of a given player is. So to get to that end result, I am going to actually use Microsoft Excel. So if you have Bluebeam and Excel installed on your computer, even if you never noticed it, there is a tool in here hidden in the right-click menu called Quantity Link. And Quantity Link lets you click here to choose Quantity Link, create a link to a PDF. So I'm going to add my basketball game. We'll go with basketball game completed as the source that I'm going to pull data from. And then I'm going to tell it what data I would like to pull into this cell. So I'm going to pull the total count of subject beamers of space 3-point, and that'll give me a total count of how many 3-pointers were made. And I can go to layer made shots, and now we'll get the total count of 3-pointers made by the beamers. And we can hit OK, and it's going to populate that right there. If I were to go back into Bluebeam here and add another 3-pointer made by the beamers, now instead of 9, like it said a second ago, if I come back to Excel, it's updated to 10. It's a live count back and forth. And I actually am going to go delete that extra one. Back to 9. Now you could go through one cell at a time individually and dictate what they're going to be repeatedly. And I have certainly done this, but I'm not going to try and make you watch me do that one cell at a time for each individual criteria. I'm going to show you what the end result looks like in another Excel sheet I already have put together. So right now, here's our 2026 Full Court Frenzy Printostat scoreboard. I currently have the basketball game PDF set as my source file. So if I were to come here and add another made shot by the Blues, and we'll give it a player, it's going to show up over here. We were 2-2 before, now we're 5-2. Live updating in Excel based on the information from the PDF. Updating in real time, and then Excel using normal Excel functions like you could use in any Excel sheet is doing the math to figure out score and shooting percentage and all of the extra information that I care about. Setting up this Excel sheet for just that one basketball game would be in no way worth the time dedicated to it. It would take longer to go through and assign all these cells and set up the graphics than it would to just do the math by hand and pretty it up. But the beauty of quantity link is that we can change our source file on the fly. So if I right click anywhere in this Excel sheet, go to quantity link, and instead of create, say source files, I am able to remove that PDF and instead add the completed game and then hit OK. And now it's going to update with all the information from the game that was actually completed. We can see our final score, 66-69. We can see the shooting percentage of each player individually. We can color code our scoring leaders, see that area carried the game, won the team for the Beamers. If you are using the same measurement tool sets on different PDFs and you want to get out to Excel for a standardized, formatted, graphically pleasing result, and especially if you want to do calculations beyond what you're interested in setting up Bluebeam columns for, Quantity Link is an excellent tool for being able to click your markups on a PDF and then just tell Excel to update to that source file and have all your math done. I will say it is limited to only people who have a Bluebeam Complete subscription. If you're on Basics or Core, you're not going to have access to Quantity Link. But for those who have Complete, it is a tool available for you that you can pull your takeoffs off of the PDF straight into Excel as a live read copy. And that is my Bluebeam basketball demonstration for today. And now, in addition to that, we have a handful of questions that were asked that I'm going to go through and answer. First was a question, how do I get the legend to display the linear count when I convert the takeoff into a legend? So if they're making a legend and they want to get maybe a different kind of piece of information out of it, that's something you can do by managing the columns of your legend. So if I'm just going to make a new PDF for a demonstration. I'm going to scale my PDF. So if I have some length measurements, I'm just going to use the default length tool for this. And I make a legend. In this case, they're not the part of a single tool set. I'm just going to right-click the tool here, tell it to go to legend, create new legend, and put it down. Actually, I should use area for this. For area, I'm going to make area measurements. When you add these to the legend, it's going to add every instance of perfectly matching tools to it. So I don't have to do legend for each area measurement I made. It's going to add all of them. And if I continue using this default tool, it's going to add it to it. What you might not be aware of is these measurement tools are not by any chance limited to, or in any way limited to just the type of measurement they represent. So my area measurement looks like it's just measuring area. But if I go into this. I can change my caption settings for this measurement. And you do that in the measurements panel or in the properties bar above. It's going to be this button that looks like a square with writing across it. You can click that and say, hey, I'd also like to see length on this. And it will show us, in addition to the area, the length, in this case, is the total perimeter of that rectangle. If you told it a depth, you could show depth, volume, width, height, things like that. And then if you want to see individual segments, how long they are on the outside, that's going to be the icon that looks like an arc with tick marks across it. If you click that, it will display the individual segment lengths on the page for you. You can do a similar sort of thing with a legend. If I select my legend, it's going to, as the default with the columns, show me the quantity and unit of whatever the measurement type natively does. But by selecting the specific columns down below for specific measurement types, I can have it display that information as well. So if I say I want length as a column in here, now, oh, because I changed the caption on here, I will change that back so that it matches. Yeah, I broke it. I'm going to delete that one. So now we have our area and our length. The lengths are going to measure the same in quantity as length because length is their measurement type. For area, we're going to have our quantity is the area, but in the length column, it's showing me the combined parameters of all these area measurements. So yeah, you can have different types of measurement come out, even if it doesn't match the measurement type. Hopefully gets them to the end result they're looking for. Next question, how do they create viewports? Viewports are in our measurements panel at the bottom. Viewports allow you to scale different parts of a page differently. So if I hit the plus here and click OK, I can create a viewport, and I can tell it that this section, instead of being 1/8 inch equals a foot, I'm going to tell it 1/4 inch equals a foot. And then anything that is measured within that viewport is going to be measured at a different scale. So this 16 foot out in space here, if I drag it down to that viewport, it's going to update, and now it's 8'5" because it's half the scale. It's going to measure half the distance. So viewports allow you to have different measurement scales in different parts of a page, which is useful if you have things like a detailed breakout area on a page that is meant to be scaled differently than the overall drawing. Additionally, with viewports, sometimes you will open a PDF that has viewports made from a different program, and Bluebeam will ask if you want to keep them. Typically, you do not want to keep them, and you will tell them as such. But if you say to keep the viewports, and then you go to do a measurement and your whole screen turns blue, that's what will happen sometimes, because it doesn't know the correct boundaries of that viewport. So you can clear all the viewports by coming down to the bottom of your measurements panel and clearing all from document, and that'll get you back to step one. And if you need those viewports, you can recreate them for yourself. The other thing, since the phrase of their question, I believe they were asking for viewports, but it could also have been referring to views, which in an AutoCAD kind of world, views typically refer to being able to focus in on one specific aspect of your drawing. So if I wanted to have a saved perspective of just this paint, in AutoCAD, that would be saved as a view. In Bluebeam, that would be a place, which is like a space, but instead of managing your markups, it remembers your perspective. To make a place, you have to go to the links panel. Places are the top half of the links panel. If I wanted to have a place of this, left side paint, I can click the top option here, create a place, and I'll name this left paint. Default is going to be to fit the full page, but in this instance, I want to remember this location, so I'm going to say current view to be saved. I could additionally hit snapshot view and draw the rectangle around it and hit OK. And now if I go elsewhere on the document and click on that place, it's going to jump me back to what I made it there. So places are kind of like view in AutoCAD if you want to save specific zoom and pan locations on your document to jump to, or if you're making hyperlinks to jump to specific parts of the document, you can use the places you set up in the same panel as the location that you jump to when somebody clicks your hyperlink. Then a couple other questions asked, is there a way to open a PDF and edit text and paragraphs like you might in Adobe? And additionally, would you be able to make fillable forms for people to fill out on your document? Both of those things, the answer is yes. If I come back over to my subjects covered, I am going to flatten my text box markup here because to demonstrate editing text, I need to have text in my PDF content. Flatten will take your markup and put it down into that base PDF layer. So now my select is not going to interact with it. But if I use my edit text tool, which can be found under edit, PDF content, edit text, it'll let me come in and start typing whatever I want to add. And Bluebeam, if it recognizes the text, which not all PDF things that look like text are actually formatted as such, but provided that it is, and Bluebeam recognizes the font, it's going to let you click right in and start typing at the same size and the same style and the same color. And then I will warn you, though, that it's not really a word processor. It's not going to have all the formatting options you might like. So you got to be careful that you're keeping your text in line the way that you want it to, or you'll do things like drive it off the edge of the page. Edit text is great for fixing, minor typos. Like here, tool set should really be 2 words. I can come in and fix that. If you intend to make really major changes to a PDF text-wise, generally it's more efficient to know the font size and style, create your text box, delete out the old content, and put the new one in on top using the text adding tools rather than editing the PDF content this way. The other part of that content was for forms. Form fields can absolutely be added in Bluebeam. From the Forms panel down on the left, looks like a page with a pen writing across it, that we have our form field options here, or additionally, these can be found under Tool, Form. And as far as fields for people to fill out, the main one's going to be text box that we can draw in, and we can write in it just like the markup text box, except this is going to be allowing anyone with basically any PDF program, even something like an internet browser, to be able to come in and type their answers, create a fillable form for people this way. If you have something that is formatted as a form already, that has blank underlines or empty boxes that you've made in a different program, say a Word document that has underlines where form fields will be filled out, there is a handy tool under Tools, Form, automatically create form fields that will recognize those empty underlines or empty boxes turn them into boxes. If you have check marks from Word or Excel, Bluebeam will recognize them as such and be able to make them into checkbox fields as well. It'll even do things like recognize where a form field is supposed to call for a date or a signature and format the text boxes to only accept dates, or click it to sign the document rather than fill out the form field. Automatically create form fields is pretty handy. And with that, I have reached the end of my time. We have listened to me talk for an hour. I know the basketball bit's a little contrived and gimmicky, but I hope everyone watching learned something new that will be helpful to them in their day-to-day usage of Bluebeam. Thanks again for joining me, and have a good day.